What's going on? Happy Red Friday, my buddy Andy Rose. How you doing, brother?
What's up, man? Hey, doing good. Just got back from a trip from Nash Vegas, and had a great time with my Florida brokerage up there and some cool announcements and whatnot. Um, Other than that, just the normal week with hustling, selling real estate.
Yeah. How's the market looking, man? Like I'm kind of starting to feel it just a little bit. Start to come back around.
Yeah, we're starting to see it and feel it at the same time. So I guess it's real. There's a lot of talk nationally about a shift. I'm seeing it locally in both my markets in Atlanta and in Northwest Florida, where you're getting a little bit longer on the market, a little bit. You're getting less showings. You're getting fewer offers and all that. The price jumps aren't quite as big as they were before. A little bit, more inventory. So it's slowly creeping up, which, to be honest with you, ultimately is a good thing. We are just so deep into a seller's market that it's just been ridiculous. And I know I've talked to quite a few people, sellers, that they don't want to sell because they're scared about finding the next house. Well, we increase our inventory just a little bit. Heck, if we double our inventory right now, we'll be fine. We'll still be in the seller's market, but there'll be more houses available for sellers to go find.
Yeah, no. There's a real estate agent posted this. It looked like a shack.
Yeah,
it was just a square box, one window, 400 square feet, $385,000. What? Are you kidding me right now?
I joked with a friend last week. She posted a picture of her husband's building this brand new chicken coop. And She posted a picture, and I was like, "How much? I got a buyer." She's like, "Well, we might have to add a bathroom." And I was like, "Hey, whatever you got to do to get the sale."
There's a lot of really good memes going around the intrawebs these days, because we all just got to embrace the suck. I mean, that's what it is. And that's what we're doing here. We're trying to help educate agents, lenders, veterans, anybody on how to circumvent or navigate around these obstacles or hurdles that are prevalent in the market right now. The biggest one is the lack of education around the VA home loan. Blows both of us away. I know that. And in our network of people, it's the same. It's like, oh my God, it's just still holding the VA accountable for stuff that happened in the late 90s, early 2000s. And that's just not right. They've made the changes to make this process one of the best processes throughout the entire, a mortgage industry. So one of the first things that we need to talk about is the rise of wire fraud, right?
Yeah. So you had a situation, two of them.
This week alone, on Monday, we had a 9 a.m. closing, right? So typically you have a 9 a.m. closing. Around 10 o'clock, you expect to see the funded email come across, right? Well, we received an email from Title at 10:05. Yeah. But it was a long novel of this is what happened. We asked this veteran for the $214,000 cashier check, and their response was, "I wired it on Friday." What? So, first off, never, ever, ever reply to an email with the wire instructions without talking to your loan officer or the title agent, or if you're in a state that has attorneys, I'm sorry, but talk to them too. All right. Yeah. Because there are some shady shysters out there that want to get rich and they don't want to put any effort into it. We call those millennials. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we deal with that. We deal with the attorneys here in Georgia. In Florida, it's title, but it's attorneys here in Georgia. And I've heard some horror stories about the same thing. I haven't heard about them in a while, but those things usually come in cycles, and you'll hear about a bunch at one time. They'll stop whoever that is, and then they'll resurface after a while.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been a loan officer for over 5 years now. I've never experienced this. I've heard of it happening, but I think we do a pretty good job of providing, hey, these are the next steps. Do this, be prepared for this, prepared for
Right.
that. If we know that they're sending a wire, we proactively tell them these things. Not once did it ever come up that a wire transfer was going to happen, right? So that was the first red flag. Now, if you are a buyer, pay close attention to the email, right? The actual, where it came from, because it looks very, very similar, but there's something wrong with, in this scenario, there was 2 G's in closing. That's what it was. All right.
Wow.
So, but never reply back. Never, it's financial responsibility 101. Never share your stuff with somebody you don't know, right? I mean, yes, you don't know me, I don't know you, and you're sharing with me, but this is a little bit different, right? So thank God she immediately took action and she went to her bank. She filed all the necessary paperwork. She talked to the local police department, filed the police report, and she filed an IC3 FBI report with the FBI.
Wow.
Okay? Now this happened on Friday. She took action at 10:30 a.m. on Monday. So even though it's 4 calendar days, it's 1 business day. Okay.
Right.
And in the banking world, it's all about business days. Thank God she did all that stuff in time, because they caught it before it left the States. So she is actually going to get that money back. We just don't know if it's going to be 3 to 4 days or like 30 to 90 days. Okay.
Wow.
But it's $214,000. I mean,
so you had to push closing. I wonder what it was like on the other side of the table for them to hear that and go, wait, what?
All of us, exactly. That's exactly what. And then today I'm driving back to the office. You and I are texting back and forth like, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. This is what we're going to talk about. I get a text from my production partner that said, the buyer that's supposed to close today, he was on his way to Western Union, his closing funds to the title agency. I was like, what?
Nobody uses Western Union.
Like, oh my God. Okay, so that's 2 in 1 week that it happened to me, right? So thank God we caught it in time. We stopped it, but it's on the rise. You have to remain vigilant, forever scanning, right?
I think everybody involved in that, agents, you as a lender, all the people under you, all the people in the and around the agent, around the title company, everybody needs to change their email password, because somebody may have got into one and sees that stuff, and then they start doing those side emails and they know where to send all of that information.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, password security. I mean, how annoying is it to have the 2-factor authentication? Especially, I'm locked out of one of my accounts because I had some sort of app that I had to press a code on, and I don't know what app it is. I don't know what password. I'm like, crap. What am I going to do? It's my Instagram account. Like, here we go.
So, I mean, and that goes back to, probably the training. Both of us did that kind of training when we were in, especially the IT stuff, where you had to go through and do all the IT security, physical security each year. That they want you to do that stuff, all that continuing education. So it's just simple. The general public doesn't realize it, but yeah, you should rotate your passwords at least yearly.
Yeah, as much of a pain in the butt as it is, it's a good practice,
Yeah, and it really is a pain in the butt, but
yeah, especially if you're a veteran trying to register or log into the e-benefits website. Jesus Christ! Like that.
I mean, like if you don't log in for a month, they change your password. They kill it. You got to do another one.
The password has to be more than 14 characters, cannot have 3 consecutive letters that could potentially be a word. Like, oh my God. Like, here we go.
Good luck remembering it, right? And they tell you not to write those down. Well, how the heck am I going to remember it?
Or you come up with something really creative and you used it last time. Oh,
or 2 times ago, and they say you can't use the same password in the last 3 times or something crazy. So
yeah. So wire fraud, it is a real thing. Do not share your stuff with anybody. Okay.
Yeah.
Which we're not going to go there. All right. Occupancy.
Yes.
You wanted to talk about occupancy, man. That's a common thing around here too. Because again, we're trying to help your VA offers stand out. And one of the concerns is always occupancy because, if you're PCSing across the country, there is no set date really. I mean, you're
Yeah.
at the mercy of whatever branch you're in, right? So
Right.
if you say, hey, if your orders say, hey, September 1st, your orders could get extended at your current duty station, and now you're looking at January 1st.
Right.
Well,
Right.
the VA guidelines state you have to be, establish occupancy within 60 days.
60 days. But
Yep.
So part of the reason for the 60 days is for VA loan guarantee. So when the loan closes and everything, you as a lender, your company sends the information within 60 days to the VA for the guarantee. If they don't do that, they're holding the bag. But it also says in a reasonable time. So a reasonable time could be the fact that they were supposed to be here in 60 days. Their unit said, no, we need you for another 2, 3, 4 months. So it's going to be even longer. Or you're deployed already and your family needs to buy a house. So you buy a house, but your family can occupy for you. While you're deployed, your family can occupy for you.
Your spouse can establish occupancy, yes. And what's happening more and more and more now is your dependent children can. What scenario could your dependent children satisfy occupancy? Well, husband and wife are both in the same unit. They're both deploying.
Right.
So the kids are left behind because they have school and all their friends. You don't want to uplift everything in their life, right? And kind of have some consistency. So grandma and grandpa or aunt and uncle move into the house to watch the kids. The kids establish the occupancy, nobody else. It goes with everything VA. It doesn't go up on your family tree. It goes down.
Right.
So
and that's there's another part of that is that you can't buy a house for a family member. Like I want to buy a house for my mom or my dad or something. They're aging. And I want to buy them a house nearby. It's like you can't do that.
Good point. As a kid that has never served, you cannot use your mom or dad's VA home loan either.
Yes.
I get that question all the time. My dad served. Can I use it? No, you can't.
Yeah,
you can,
not happening.
Right.
Not happening.
But the VA does allow you to extend beyond what's the written guidelines, and this is where loan officers are at fault 100% because they just read the very first 2 or 3 sentences or the very first paragraph where it says 60 days or a reasonable amount of time. The next paragraph down says up to 12 months. Anything beyond 12 months,
Yeah, you definitely want to have that going. So this gets back to, and we've said this before, that the VA guidelines are written in gray. They're not black and white like a lot of the stuff with FHAs or even conventionals. Everything's gray. So there's room for interpretation in a lot of things. And if you've got the compensating factors, if you've got the reasons that you're doing it, then that's totally fine. The VA is okay with that.
And if you're telling the truth, you can back it up with documentation.
Yeah, exactly.
In the military is very heavy on documentation. Even though every veteran I talk to is like, they never gave it to me.
Yeah. So another thing with occupancy, and I've heard a lot about this on different social media platforms where you talk to veterans that have used their benefit for purchasing investment properties. And so what they've done is they bought their first house, or maybe they just got out and they bought their first house. And then, a year or 2 later, whatever, they're able to upgrade to another house. So they keep that house, they rent it out, they use their bonus entitlement to buy the next house. And they do that a few times. And eventually the older houses, you can roll into conventional loans. You can put them in portfolio type things, put them together as investment properties. But I've also heard some kind of not fully saying it, but leading into, you can buy that investment property using your VA home loan benefit while not occupying it. You can say, hey, they intend to occupy it, but then ultimately never do. And we can never advise that. One, it's against the guideline, but two, that can also be considered mortgage fraud.
Or
That's
fraud.
a problem.
Yeah, occupancy fraud, right? So when you apply for a mortgage and you sign documents to buy a house, that's a legal document, right?
Right.
That's not to say that life doesn't happen, right? I mean, it's your intention to move into this house. Well, 30 days later, the towers fall and you're going overseas now, right?
Yeah.
That's
That's
life
totally
happens,
different.
right?
Yeah.
Things happen. Okay. Then the VA understands that. So it's gray. It's not black and white.
Right.
Right. So if you cannot make it within that time frame, it's good. But what you're getting at is what entitlement is. What is a fancy word for insurance? How much is the VA going to insure on this property? Right.
Yeah.
Every veteran starts off with the same amount. Right.
Right.
So
wait, hold on. I want to hit that because we haven't talked about this. Say that again. Every veteran gets the same amount. It doesn't matter your rank. Doesn't matter when you served. Every veteran has the same amount.
You served in the 90s. I served in the 2000s. We have the same amount, right?
I was a Lance Cooley for 3 years.
3 times over. So, but not to get personal, but my first house that I bought, right, was $105,000 back in 2011.
Yeah.
Right. So, in that scenario, am I able to buy another house?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now we have some sort of calculation, and this right here is the base root of the VA home loan. Right. This is what, if you are a buyer, this is how you can tell if somebody is well versed in the VA, because most loan officers, I was told I could not have 2 VA home loans. Right.
Yeah.
That's what pushed me into becoming a loan officer. Like, okay, right. I consider myself to be a halfway intelligent human, and you got me, right? But I'm no longer, if not me, who? So that's what made me, because I suffered, you guys all win, right? That's the way I look at it. But you can absolutely have 2 VA home loans, but a lender has to calculate how much you can purchase the next home for. So when we bought our house, it was a starter home, right? 3 bedroom, 1 bath. But we quickly outgrew it. We hit our 5-year goals. We decided we're going to build a new house, right? That's what started the whole conversation. That's when I was told you have to refinance into a conventional so the VA can restore your entitlement, blah, blah, blah. Little did I know that my name was still on the title. Therefore, my entitlement is still tied to the property.
Yeah.
Right. So in order to get my full entitlement back, because we're going to talk about VA loan limits here in just a second. And this is where it makes a big difference, because across the country, 647,200 is the conforming loan limit. Conforming loan limit, right? Set by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Now, prior to 2000, to the Blue Water Navy Vietnam Veterans Act,
2020,
January 1st of 2020. Prior to, the VA allowed 100% financing up to that amount.
Yeah.
Right. Anything above and beyond, you had to bring 25% of the difference.
Correct.
Okay? So after January 1st of 2020, which we're in right now, a veteran with full entitlement, meaning no prior foreclosures, right, no existing VA home loans out there, can purchase a home as much as they qualify for.
Right.
Right. So long as the lender provides it. Again, this is where it gets really dicey, because every lender is different. Okay. Now, my team, I know, has originated a couple $1 million in one VA home loan. I'm not going to say the exact amount, but it was over 2. Okay.
Right.
So, and it was 100% financing, 0 cash at closing.
And a lot of lenders have a loan cap anyways, usually anywhere between 1 and 3 million. Some lenders will go higher than that, if they've got the financial backing. Usually the financial backing is another big bank or big lender. behind them. But yeah, you have no limit there on your full entitlement. If you can qualify it, you can buy it.
Correct.
As long as it appraises and as long as it's a good structure, you're good to go. It's not a problem.
If it's a $3 million property and it's a bad structure, what the hell?
Hey, you know what? This is true. This is true. But if you look at some places around the country, a $3 million structure may not be that great in some pockets around the country.
Like San Diego, California.
Yeah, there you go.
So, Andy, what happens in my scenario if I were to keep I bought that house, right? I'm moving up in the world. Do I have to sell that house?
No, you keep the house.
Depends.
Here's the crazy thing is that you bought it for 105, and I'm sure you could have rented it for probably double your mortgage payment, right? And so to refi out of a VA into a conventional, there's fees. They're going to tack that onto the back of the loan.
PMI.
Yeah, PMI, interest rate, right, is going to be a tad higher. Maybe it was different, and the rates went down anyway, so it really wasn't that big of a deal. But you still have all of that, and then you can use your bonus entitlement to buy the next one, and that first property becomes essentially an investment property because you're renting it out to make money. And I think,
yeah. Side note though, you have to qualify with both mortgages, right? You cannot just say, "Hey, I want to activate my second tier,"
right, but
you still have to be able to carry both the mortgages.
Well, you can use the rental income to offset some of that.
Yes.
They prefer you to have some type of rental background. Are you hearing the vacuum cleaner?
Is it the vacuum cleaner? I thought you were listening to NSYNC or something.
No, the house cleaners are here, so it's house cleaning Friday. But yeah, so you can use that income as part of it to cover that mortgage. So that way you're not hit with having to qualify for both, or at least fully qualify for both.
Yeah, no, you cannot use the full anticipated. You cannot use a full expected rental.
Why are people bugging us today?
I know, right? I mean, come on. I'm on a live with my good buddy Andy here. We're trying to help Vex. You cannot use the full anticipated rent. You have to use 75% if you do not have, again, this is where who you work with matters 100%. You need to have the right advisors in your corner, because if Andy is trying to get a veteran a house, is an offer stronger if it's a non-contingent or a contingent offer?
Non. All day in this market, all day long, non. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, contingent offers happened all the time. So I think we're going to end up going back into that as the inventory increases and sellers say, "Hey, I want to buy my next house, but I got to sell this one first." They have tons of equity, so the qualification's easy, or typically easier. But I would say that a non-contingent is a much cleaner offer.
And a non-contingent offer means it is not contingent on the sale of your current home.
Yeah.
To clarify that.
The sale or the rental, because at least in the exhibits that we use in Georgia, you can sell it or rent it, but typically most people are having to sell it.
Yeah. So in my scenario, buying my first house for $105,000, it wipes out my basic entitlement. So I have to now purchase above $144,000 up to the conforming loan limit for the 100% financing, meaning zero down. Right now, I could go above and beyond that if I wanted to. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I was buying a house of $800,000,
right,
I would have to bring some sort of money to the table.
So you go back to that 25% of the difference. So it just like it did before we had the unlimited on the full entitlement, you go back to that scenario of 25% of the difference. So and that's a whole lot less than say even a conventional coming back at 10% down on the full amount, right?
Yep.
You're 25% of a lesser amount or a smaller percentage on the full amount.
And the rest of it gets financed into the loan. so again, who you work with matters. It is everything in this market. You need to align yourself with the right people. You need to have the right advocates in your corner fighting for you, because if you don't, you're going to be renting forever. No, just kidding. You're not renting forever. You're going to be renting.
You could be renting forever. You could be, I have a veteran client referred to me by another veteran client, and at very low price point. I started helping him about 2.5 years ago. It's been a minute. And I was helping him, and we were getting beat out all the time. But now that interest rates have gone up and prices have gone up, I mean, he's really pushed out of the market, and I hate it for him. But that's just the way it is. I know the search criteria that gets sent to him, the stuff that comes across. I mean, it's not going to pass. It's not going to pass any appraisal, no matter what type of loan it is. It's not going to pass any appraisal inspection because you're missing
checking yourself.
Holes in walls. There's obviously issues. You can see it in the picture. He's essentially buying an investment property, but the house has to be livable for the purchase to happen. So, those scenarios, as much as I hate it, but missed the boat. Really did. Will it come back around eventually? Yeah, but missed that opportunity, because if you'd have bought 2 years ago, I mean, you're looking at probably a 30% increase in value.
Yeah.
At least over the last 2 years, I'm
just doing quick math on the fly. Math for Marines, I know, save the jokes, right? But, a $250,000 purchase last year is like equivalent to a $200,000 purchase today, with the difference in pricing increase and the difference in rate. So waiting doesn't benefit you.
My joke last year, funny but true, right? The truth is usually funnier. 200 is the new 400 as far as price point, and this year 300 is the new, or 500 is the new 300, because the prices have just skyrocketed. Now we are going to see that stuff start leveling off. This time of year, we typically see more listings because people have to move. They typically move during the summer months when the kids are out of school. We're probably going to see an influx of inventory. I don't know how high it'll get, and I don't know how long it'll stay there, but I expect it to stay higher for longer. Just how we're seeing things shifting, especially with the rates going up. But like I said, all of that's the rates going, the Fed rate being at 3.
I was just going to hit that. I was just going to hit that because the Fed is about to announce 2 more rate increases over the next 2 months, June and July, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. But the market has already corrected itself in anticipation for that.
Yes. You guys so the lenders always anticipate that. So the fees and the rates are going to go up before the Fed rate does. But the Fed rate being in the 3s, from my understanding, is a really significant thing, because that's where you start getting the stabilization across the board when it comes to that stuff. So the inflation should slow down, if not stop. And we're already talking about a possible recession. We could be in the middle of it. We probably are. Hate saying the big R word, but it's the truth. 2 years ago, we were in a recession because of the lockdowns and everything. We came out of that screaming in the economy.
It was, I mean, next we got to start addressing if anybody here has any influence on the freaking gas prices. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, there's some bigwigs up in DC that have some influence on the gas prices.
Quit canceling the American oil.
Yeah, they aren't doing much about it. And I think that's going to be seen in the voting booths here in a few months. I know there's a lot of primary elections going on. We're in the middle of one here. Very, very impactful for our state, but also getting the right people in place to make the better decisions overall for this country.
We are not going to go down this wormhole here. We're going to come back.
No, I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to talk any more politics unless I got a drink in hand. And it is Friday, so screw it.
It is Red Friday. We are going to remember everybody deployed the best way we possibly can. Right?
Yes.
We're going to go enjoy our freedoms. Cheers to them. Throw some lead down range, which I just got 2,000 9mm rounds. You want to talk about some lead therapy that I'm about to go through? Yeah, buddy.
Hey, do you want to mention the charity thing that you were telling me about for your local peeps there? Is that solidified, or are you still working out all the details?
We're kind of working out the details still. But I run a nonprofit here in West Michigan, and we are identified by the Taylor Foundation, which is Corey Taylor. He's the lead singer of Slipknot, Stone Sour. We were picked to be the main beneficiary of a 24-hour fundraising, mental awareness, meet and greet with Corey, VIP acts. Like, he's going to help us raise a ton of money, and we're super stoked and excited. But this was literally thrown on our lap this weekend. and it's like, oh my God, we've been trying to like cram all this stuff in. So it's been a work in progress, but it's live. I'll even put it in the comments here. You can buy raffle tickets or you can donate money.
Yeah.
I'll put the text code in there because his foundation, Corey Taylor's foundation, is the Taylor Foundation. He really cares for vets, even though he's not one himself. He is joining us on the front lines of battle when we're dealing with PTSD and risk management. I mean, I think that's the best way to put it. You have to be able to manage the risk of a veteran, right? Because every veteran's different, right? I mean, and Stephanie might know this, but there has been a tremendous increase in PTSD with Vietnam veterans within the last, I would say, 8 to 12 months. Why is that? Because they're now retiring.
Yeah.
Now they're getting into the point where they are processing it. Right. Whereas before they hit the ground. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say they hit the ground running. They were treated like shit, and I'm embarrassed for our country about that. But
yeah,
they hit the ground running, and they never look back. I mean,
for a
I'm
long
sure
time,
they did, but
for a long time, even when I was in, stuff like that was looked down upon.
it still is. It's still it's a big,
and that's what there is through charities like yours and what Taylor's doing. That's opening the eyes for a lot more. I mean, the amount of stuff that was seen by your generation of Marines and military or veterans and everything, it's opened the eyes. There's a lot more information getting out. A lot of that has to do with being open on social media and talking about stuff like that. But also the data is out there. The 22 a day thing. That's.
Dude, it decreased for the first time in 20 plus years. It decreased.
Really?
Yeah. So it decreased by 399 people, but it's a decrease, man. Any victories of victory, small victories, it's good. So whatever we're doing is working, and whoever joins the fight, I mean, the more people we have, the better we are. And it is okay to not be okay. That's the hardest thing for any veteran to understand. It is okay to not be okay. It is okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
Right? It is okay to say, hey, I'm fucked up.
Right?
Help me, or leave me alone. I'm, like one of the two.
Most time you ask folks, especially veterans, like, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. I think we all know I'm fine is not fine.
I mean,
it's
married, right?
It's a cover in a lot of ways, but I would say when it comes to veterans, even in my time, I didn't serve. I was in Iraq. I did contracting, so I wasn't active duty when I was in, but I still had a rocket land 30 yards from where I was laying my head, and that shook me. Loud booms.
Yeah.
Woo. I'll tell you this quick story, and then
I want to comment on what you're talking about. So you tell your story, buddy.
So after that explosion, that happened June, July, and TQ, and this 9-foot Russian rocket hit a couple of the cans. I think I've told you the story. It hit the two female cans, and luckily it was middle of the day. They were working because my crew was on the night shift, and it wasn't our cans, but there was panties and bras everywhere. There was clothing and stuff everywhere. There was two things that survived that explosion, and that was a Bible and the bat decal for the coveralls for the company.
Bat decal? Did you say bat?
Yeah, they had the actual decal for their coveralls was this big decal for the company's name, and it actually survived. But when I came back, I came back on a surprise. I was, surprised my family and friends. I had bought tickets to a bowl game, not knowing who was going to be in the bowl games yet. So we go to the Peach Bowl, and it happens to be, I think, Georgia and Virginia Tech or something like that. And I take my brother and my best friend. Both were Marines and vets and everything. And we sit down, and they shoot off the fireworks to announce the team. And I'm sitting on the end seat. And as soon as those fireworks go off, I do this. I'm ready for duck and cover. My brother, who had been in Iraq for a couple big explosions, and my best friend, who was a Force Recon sniper in the mid-90s and done some stuff, they both look over me like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? And I had to explain to them the story of that. And that honestly opened my eyes like, oh, wow, that impacted me more than I thought, because I hadn't heard an explosion like the one that like that after that, because that was kind of like the last thing that really happened while I was there. It was just that big explosion. It was crazy.
So when you're overseas, I mean, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too much, but the fear of guns is because of the lack of experience or education, right? So overseas, your gun is like, it's like an arm, right? So I mean, M4 in my 9mm, right down in my top holster at all times. I hop on a plane to fly back stateside, so it's a 24-hour flight back. We land, we do the questionnaire, because again, it's the stigma of, hey, are you feeling suicidal? Are you depressed? What did you see over there? What did you do? Everything is no, I'm good. I'm fine on paper, because if you have one mark over, I don't recall if it's a 1 or a 5, but if you're a 2 or a 4 or anywhere in between, you're not going home, right? You're not going on leave, nothing. Yeah. So you lie on the sheet, you hop on a plane. And I was back in Grand Rapids 48 hours after I left Iraq. Okay. Yeah. We went to Cedar Point, which is it's America's roller coaster. They have this train ride that these pirates shoot blanks. Before I even heard the blanks, I smelled them, and I immediately started patting myself, like trying to grab the my leash. Yeah. Like kind of starting to freak out a little bit. And my brother goes, "What the hell are you doing?" I was like, "What the hell am I doing?" But what you were talking about, you served during peacetime, right? I mean, not technically. I mean, we've been at war since August 2, 1990. But you guys and the ones that joined the reserve and never deployed, you guys actually get way more credit than we do, right? You enlisted on your own free will. You're that much of a mental case that you just did it on your own. There was no war, right?
No, I was hanging out with the wrong crowd. I did it to escape some mistakes.
But I hear that all the time. Like, people, they discredit their time in service. Oh, I served in the 90s. I didn't do anything cool. Bullshit, man. You did something that very few people ever did. Like, you were willingly you wanted to fight. There was no fight yet. Yeah. Right. So never downplay it, man. And I hear it all the time in the reserves too. Oh, I just served in the reserves. You still served. You better than 90% of the population, man. Be proud of that. So never discredit your service.
There's the crazy thing. My brother was in boot camp. He was about halfway through boot camp when 9/11 happened.
No way.
And they just happened. Discovery Channel was there actually videotaping an update to Marine boot camp. They were videotaping his company through it all, and they pulled out, because of 9/11, they pulled out a bunch of the, highlighted certain guys, especially that were from the New York area, and talked to them. But he wasn't one of the ones that was highlighted. So you can see him in the background in a few instances, but that was kind of a very eerie thing. And I remember that morning, my mom going, "What are they going to do? Are they going to pull him out of boot camp and send him to war?" I was like, "No, he's not a Marine until he finishes boot camp.
He's got to earn that shit. He's got to earn that shit, right?"
First of all, he's not done until he's done in boot camp. But then, they did speak, and he was a reservist. So I was like, they're going to have to deploy his unit and everything, which did happen, but it did take a while. And then, he was low altitude air defense. So he deployed for like 6-7 months, came back, and they got rid of his unit. They just sent all the equipment to active duty. And then he went to kicking boxes because all they had left was logistic jobs.
You want to know what happened in the middle of my boot camp?
What's that?
Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson nip slip. Boom. We're gonna end on that.
Hey.
I missed that one. I missed the greatest nip slip in human
There
history.
you go. So 2 days before my graduation was the Oklahoma City bombings.
Oh, geez. Maybe, yeah. I mean,
Maybe my family needs to stay out of Marine boot camp.
so we're gonna end on that. But next week, we got a really big holiday coming up for us vets, right?
Absolutely.
So I think we're gonna try to bring on a couple more people, and we're gonna really break this down, why it's important, what's the difference between this holiday, the 4th of July, Veterans Day,
Yeah.
Amnesty Day, all that stuff. We will break all those down so everybody can kind of get a better understanding. Because I'll tell you what, I get kind of offended when people come up to me on Memorial Day. Thank you for your service. Today's not about me. Today is not about me. We honor the fallen today. Like, this is not me, right? So
yeah, I don't get offended by that. I say, I don't like the whole thank you for your service, the whole ordeal. But I think we do need to highlight those that did not make it back, because that really is the ultimate sacrifice. It really is. So
it is, and that's what this holiday is for. So we will talk about that. Other than that, any final thoughts, Mr. Rose?
No, I think we go back to who you work with matters, man. It really, really does. That's the biggest thing in our industry, and especially with VAs. Knowing that the person you're working with has your back and has the knowledge to have your back.
I mean, go back to when you're in high school, dude. When you were getting picked on, you're like, I'm going to go get my friends and I'm going to come back. Are you going to go recruit the smallest dudes that can't fight? Hell no, you're not going to do that. You're going to go get the baddest of the baddest mother effers that are out there, and you're going to roll back in. And what happens to you? All of a sudden, you're like, oh, hell yeah, let's go. Right? That's kind of the concept that's how you want to approach this.
Exactly.
This is the biggest milestone in your life. It's a huge financial investment. Why are you going to throw it out there to some stroke loan officer who's only there picking up the phone? Pick up the phone and start
exactly. You just call into an 800 number, and this is who you got, and you might be stuck with them. And good luck on a Saturday afternoon when crap hits the fan and you need an answer from them, because you're about to lose earnest money or whatever. You're about to lose the deal and you can't get a hold of the guy on the 800 number.
Boom. All right, let's get out of here, buddy. Go sell a house. Go close a house.
Absolutely. I got a new listing. I got to get that sucker sold, man.
All right. Keep your wife in line. Dude, she's doing great things too. So,
all right, man.
Weekend.
All right, you too. We'll see y'all.
Dude.